Research Center there in Roswell, New Mexico, as well as a set to Oklahoma City University, my alma mater, and I did maintain the original set in safes, and so everything. If they were to bump me off now, they'd have to explain what you guys do to Ken. So I'm a lot safer now than I was back before I wound up meeting Hoagland and the rest of the people like that. So I'm considered honored that and I'm going to give my mother credit for the fact that she said, if you have something you think is important, you need to save it and put it away because someday it may be important to other people. That really is something she told me when I was young. And sure enough, that wisdom led to me keeping what I kept, and that's why Ken's archive. And that's all in my book, Ken's Moon. And it covers a lot of that information, a lot of good pictures, and a lot of copies of the documents, records, and things. So if you want to know the truth, check it out. I'll be happy to provide it for you.
Right. And Janet helped you, and so did Karen Patrick. But I did read your book cover to cover, and I'm going to get Janet on here, and she's brought a guest to talk to you, too. But I want Janet to ask you about the Sci-Fi Channel and how I'd like to hear how y'all met at a conference, because I'd like to tie all of us in together for the Allied Command and my husband's information that Janet and I documented for all these years, to invite people to join us. There's very few of us that really I feel comfortable with talking to personally and going through a lot of things like you have, adversities. But Janet, Janet, let me see if Janet's here. Go ahead. I wanted to say something again.
Go ahead,
okay.
Go ahead, Ken.
Hey, hi. Good to hear from you. Let me catch up real fast for Karen and yes.
Brett.
Brett.
Karen and Brett Shepard.
There you go. Yeah, I was. I had done a radio program and a TV program, and Brett Shepard, he was pretty sure that things weren't like what I said, and I wound up getting a phone number and calling him, and I said, well, why don't we get together and I'll let you look at the original pictures and things, and he thought that was pretty good, and then he said, well, we're going to be moving out of Texarkana.
Texarkana.
There you go. Then, so this was in 3 days. I said, well, they were getting ready to leave, and then they wound up with their vehicle was put up on the rack, and the guy was giving them trouble, and they were about ready to leave their furniture and everything there and just leave and go to California where her daughter lived. And I said, well, there's another option. I'll take my truck and my 16-foot trailer, and we'll load everything up, and we'll get you out of there. And that's exactly what I did. And that's how we got to know each other, was driving from Texarkana all the way back to Albuquerque, New Mexico area is good enough, the Berlin area. Brought them here and helped them find a house, and then putting things in storage, and then we got them a permanent place up on the mountain next to the little airport. And that thing worked out great. Now they live down in Silver City, New Mexico, and I've talked to them. I treat them just like they're my kids because I'm that much older than them. And we've helped each other tremendously with their books. And then Janet, Karen was edited one of my books, and we helped each other the best we can. And now we're kind of a team, and that's where I wound up going to that conference where I met Janet and Sasha Lessin. And it's been just a growing thing of a tremendous group of very intelligent people.
The Regression of a NASA Whistleblower. And that's got the regression that Janet talked to me today to use with my daughter maybe in the future. But let's get into how we all met. And Janet's got somebody else she brought on here. But let's get us situated with you and Janet in the story here, because I've got this book in my hand, and Janet's name's in here. She's got a very small part in your life story here, but it seems like Dr. Lessin has a larger part, but y'all apparently were at, so fill me in, because were y'all at the contact in the desert, but sort of fill people in, because this is now history, and so this is going to be here, how you two met and the history of how you two got together. And this book, The Regression of a NASA Whistleblower.
I'd love to hear Janet's side of it first, so go ahead.
Okay, so from what I remember, before we met at the IUFO Congress in Scottsdale, Arizona, at the Waipaha Resort, we were on the radio together. So I met you and Karen and Ken on the radio. So we were doing all these broadcasts. And I think you were on a couple of them too, TJ. So we had a while that we were playing on air, getting your story out there. Karen was working on editing your book. And so those were very exciting times. And then at the UFO Congress, not Contact in the Desert, the other one in Scottsdale, you and Dr. Lessin went into, I forget whose room it was. I forget the details, but one of the rooms. I don't know if you came to our room or we came to your room. One time we came to your room, but we did. We set up a recording equipment, and I wasn't there. I left because we were taking turns watching our table, and Karen had a table, so we were all rotating who was going to watch the table, sell books. We were all trying to get in to see certain speakers and get your regression done. So I didn't.
That's why we called it the A-Team, because we all worked together.
The A-Team.
Yeah,
we did that at the last conference. We were there. What year was that? We were at Contact in the Desert. Was that last
2 years ago?
I get confused. 2 years ago now.
Me too.
Yeah. Anyway, so there we were. We've met in person at least twice, 2 or 3 times. We met at different conferences. Oh yeah, we were. You weren't in Silver City. You were doing something with your wife.
They were they were still here in Berlin at the airport, and where they had a house up there, and then they moved south of there. That's when we went to.
Go ahead.
Which one was Andy Bashago?
We all met in what was that down in your neck of the woods? Where were we? I just showed up. I'm in the car and I'm in the back with Lewis.
Oh, you mean here in Mobile? Oh yeah, I met Janet and Ken. I met both these people, folks. At least I thought for the first time, but Janet and I have a history of memories back when she was in Hawaii and I was too. And we had Dr. Lars Sturgis and Richard Higashida and Spiritual World Network, and she came over from a flyer I had doing Psychic Network. So, and we put all this together back years ago. We've been working together on the Pegasus Project and the Stargate Project. And Pegasus, and I think Stargate too, actually had Andrew Bashago in, and Ken was rooming with Andrew Bashago. It's really a small world, but I want y'all to know this historically because all these names are important with where we're going in the Allied Command and using our consciousness off planet, which we'll get there hopefully by the end of the hour. But, okay, back to you guys. So, Mobile, Alabama, Andy was there, I was there. I met Andrew Bashago, Janet Carroll Lessin, Dr. Sasha Lessin, Louis Reinhardt, Karen Patrick, Brett Shepard, ACO Club, whatever, on the big TV. Whole bunch of people. And anyway, so this is, now we're doing radio together, but Janet and I were doing it back to 2012, and we go way back in the UFO Association, all the way back to the 90s. But, okay, so back up here to, you asked Janet where it was. It was Mobile, Alabama for the Mars Anomaly Conference. We're talking about you and there we were. I got filmed a little bit with Janet and Sasha Lessin, as he called me his colleague. I was very proud that day to be Dr. Alexander Sasha Lessin with the ACO, Ascension Center Organization, and being, brought on for just a little bit with him. He called me up with him and Janet. It was very sweet. I got to be on TV and film with y'all. But, okay, so that's where we were, and then we'll bring on somebody else in a few minutes. Just don't go away, guest person. So hang in there. So, Janet, now, he had asked, and you said Mobile. So where were you in the story? So we all met. That was May 9th, 10th, and 11th, 2017. So I'm apparently the date person.
You're in
I
charge
remember
of
the
memory.
date.
You remind me of my mother. My mother knew all the details. She knew when everybody was born, everybody got married, everybody died, where their business treated them. And me, it's like, okay, Mom, whatever. You know, I'm like
I'm
the
the
big
date
picture
person.
overview, and you're the date person.
Yeah, I'm the date person.
Yeah. So anyway, and then I did see Ken at the MUFON conference in Vegas, right? So we get around. Anyway, so we have this A-team friendship, and we're all connected. But what we're not realizing is that we're connected on even, you know, greater levels. This little UFO community, we're so kind of ancestral. We just all know each other for many lifetimes, and over and over and over, we keep meeting each other. And then apparently we've been in a number of different secret space program type of, you know, secret military, secret programs. And so...
yeah, the A-team could be for Allied Command, too. A-team, Allied Command.
Let me jump in here with this, because that's how I wound up meeting both Janet and Sasha, because the questions started coming up with some of our past life, or not necessarily past life, but our experiences when we were younger. And I started coming forward and talking about experiences I had when I was only like a 7-year-old kid, and one thing after another, and someone mentioned, well, you know, you ought to get the hypnotic regression and get all this information up, and that Dr. Sasha Lessin could probably be the right person to get with. And then, of course, I explained that I had been a hypnotist in college, and I would help hypnotize students that were having trouble and help them memorize their subject matter for their particular courses, getting ready to take exams. These guys would make 100 on their exams, and were doing great. So, but in the process, I had done what we used to call key to ourselves, so that no one else could hypnotize me. So before I had a chance to meet Sasha and them publicly and work on this, I had to go through about a month of deprogramming myself to make it ready. And then once we met and we started the recording, and both audio and visual, of my first hypnotic regression session, I thought that I had been hypnotized for about 15 minutes. It was 2.5 hours that they recorded, and that's the information that was put into the book you were just mentioning there, DJ. And that's
it's a great book. I loved it. The Regression of a NASA Whistleblower. So you're apparently the NASA whistleblower.
I didn't
so,
ask
folks,
for
he
that.
did work at NASA.
I didn't ask for that.
Did.
That was dubbed on me, the title. But it's because I have not been afraid about coming forward, and because, you know, we waited 20 plus years for NASA to come up with the information that I'd been part of controlling and putting out to scientists around the world, and I just finally reached a point that, you know, even though I had a top secret clearance, it was past due for the information to start getting out of the world. That's when I went. I wound up going to the National Press Club twice with Mr. Hoagland over the period of a decade. And then now going back and getting the hypnotic regression and digging out a lot more. And apparently there's been a lot more in my life that I was aware of. And so that's what we can talk about that stuff a little bit later, a little bit more information. People want to ask questions. I'll be glad to tell you the truth, the way I've got it and the way I understand it. And I've got proof of it, too.
Well, that's what we're going to be about, the A-Team, Ken, and the Allied Command, you being the commander and bringing all these people together, because you've got the NASA stripes and all the patches and the Sci-Fi Channel, you know, and, you know, I'm going to let Janet bring on this other lady if she wants to get her involved.
Yeah.
I hope this lady's a strong person, because we're strong personalities, but I had no clue what we were going to talk about when I bring all three of us together. But, folks, I believe we're creating a real important Power of Three hub here, and anybody that wants to connect and be part of our Allied Command 2019, we're welcoming others into those that know about UFOs and that they're part of our lives in whatever level, RET for extraterrestrial, and Allied Command Spacecraft. And Janet's helped me for years before my husband passed, Thomas Ray Morris. He was Commander Morris, I'm Commander Morris, and then we have Commander Johnston, Commander Lessin. And so we're going to have this level of various levels of existence, and we've got to find a way to discuss, because many of our people are passing over. We've lost Paul Rosenberg, that was our producer on Apollo 13 with Ron Howard and Brian Grazer. Ron Howard, Opie. And he was a member of ours, and he was a big part of our